Rogue Stinger Hive detected. Hostile Stinger Hive detected. An agent needs assistance. System reactivated. Rogue Stinger Hive detected. Hostile Stinger Hive detected.
You won. Well done.
What's up, agents, and welcome back to another Division video. You read the title correctly. I have been doing some PvP and we are here with our first 2024 PvP build video. I can't quite believe that I'm saying that, but Conflict has received such a huge boost in rewards. It's been too hard to pass up and not dip in and at least give it a go. So before we get into it, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and consider joining the channel. And let's get straight in. Right, okay, so I reached out to a few people. Calaxinas, I also reached out to Viking Dad. I scoured the internet, and we kind of had a few bits of a chatting and kind of came up with lots of different ideas for somebody like me who is PvE focused, right? So a lot of these guys that play PvP, they do it in very specialized squads, right? They'll go in as a team of 4. It makes perfect sense. One will be a healer, one may be a CC, maybe some DPS, a whole bunch of kind of role based, and that's going to be your success story, right? If you're going to get a high level in the DZ, if you're going to go rogue anyway and then get the whole manhunt levels going, you need to be an organized group. Well, that's not really for me anyway, not right now. I want to just dip my toe in a bit of Conflict as a PvE player and just be able to hold my own and not let the squad down. So if that's the kind of build that you're looking for, this is what this is going to be. I am going to try a whole variety. Like I said, I've reached out to a bunch of PvP content creators for some ideas. So I'll always make sure I give shout outs to them guys when I publish content they give me ideas from. So I expect that to come. But you're going to get this from a very much a main PvE player. And if you're a PvE player and you're thinking, do you know what, I need a build just to get that really stupid 10 million PvP project done that's crazy right now. I need to be able to just go into Conflict and have a laugh for 5 minutes because, I played 3 matches and my rewards were almost full. It's absolutely insane. Easy levels pretty much. And if it's super toxic in there, this build survives. It's fine. If you'll see in the clips before and after that, I'm going to show that, that people were shooting skills at me and it just didn't matter. I ran through them, and I still managed to get the kills. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to die, but if you're a PvE player, this is probably a good place to start, or it certainly was. I've found a good place to start. Right, so let's get straight into it. So first of all, huge shout out. I'll link the channel down below to a Division Addiction. I'll link the video. I got the idea from this video. He basically ran it with a bighorn and all headshot damage. That's not really for me. As good as I am at headshots, you guys know I'm absolutely awesome at headshots. I wanted to go crit chance, crit damage, and obviously with the luxury of the Ouroboros, we can still push them stats really, really high, and it worked out really well. So first of all, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take Demo. The reason I took Demo was because of this here. When your armor is reduced to 0, it refills all the main weapon clip ammo, meaning you can just keep firing all of the time. And that's a lot of damage when you're using the Ouroboros, so definitely worth it. Don't forget to spec into SMG damage as well. I I did think about going firewall, but this was just the old school in me. That on armor break apply burn to enemies within 5 meters, but it's now disabled in PvP. So if you've not been in PvP for a while, that's one thing to think about. So it just made more sense to go with demo for the clip refill. And to look at the build, here it is. And I think this build's been around for such a long time. It doesn't even utilize any new gear. But I'm assuming that the 2 and 3p bonuses across the board here have probably had a bit of a buff as well. So I went with the Ouroboros, as I talked about before. If we're playing in conflict, the expertise level obviously doesn't matter anymore, so that's kind of cool. And then for a longer range, I went with the Shield Splinter because it's got a huge RPM, Perfect Optimist, and the F2000 got a huge buff. But you could run a FAMAS here perhaps, or you know, something else of that nature. But these two, just for me, worked really, really well. You obviously could go Chatterbox perhaps here or something like that. You could go... There's a whole bunch of guns you go, just something you're comfortable with. And really what I would advise is a high RPM. Especially with this build, we're not running, you know, any core reds whatsoever. So a high RPM really does matter. The mask, you can go with the chill out mask if you've got one with armor regen, or you can just basically craft a healer guard mask. And you want armor regen, critical hit damage or critical hit chance. And what we're doing here is just like what we do with any other PvE build. We're going to build it to 60% critical hit chance and then put everything else into critical hit damage. But we're going to add a side of armor regen. And that's basically what, you know, makes this a PvP build that's got a huge regen. And in the clips, hopefully I've got enough of them to show you. You'll see sometimes where when I'm reloading, you get yourself out of that firing range. And that armor regen makes such a difference. I can go from half-life back to full life, and then the person I'm against is taking all the damage that I've already put in on them, and they've not got time to use an armor kit. This thing is just a constant regen beast, and it has a lot of damage to boost, basically because of the Ouroboros. So healer guard, we get total armor 5%, we get 60% health, and we get 2% armor regen. Now that used to be 1. That's definitely had a boost. We want armor regen, and like I said, crit chance, crit damage here, depending on where your other stats are laid out. And we'll go through these pieces first. Then with the gloves, armor regen, and critical hit chance. And then with the knees, armor, critical hit damage, and armor regen. And obviously, these pieces are pretty easy to farm, right? So they can be in absolutely any order. The brand set can be anywhere. Healer guard could be here on the holster. And, you know, they could be swapped about anywhere. So don't worry about having necessarily the right brand sets in the right places. You're just going to be looking for 3 healer guard, 2 Golan, and 1 Bellstone. And like I said, don't worry about the chill out mask. It doesn't have to be that. That's just a luxury I had here. You can get healer guard masks with 2 attributes as normal. Just get crit chance, crit damage, or armor regen, and you'll be absolutely fine. Then we'll go have a look at the backpacks. This is a Bellstone backpack, again, because we get the 1% armor regen. We've got armor, we want armor regen in the attribute, crit chance, crit damage, and adrenaline rush. It just works perfect for PvP because it's instant, and we're going to push and play up close and personal because we're using the Ouroboros. It just makes perfect sense. And the cooldown's only 5 seconds. So like I said, when you're dodging out of enemy fire to get that regen to kick in, chances are you're going to re-proc adrenaline rush when you push back into the fight. So armor regen, crit chance, crit damage, and adrenaline rush on the backpack. And then for the 2 final pieces, we're going to go Golan because it's got a little bit of a buff. We get 1.5% armor regen now from the brand set bonuses. Armor, crit damage, and armor regen. And on the chest, armor regen, crit chance, and crit damage with Unbreakable. Unbreakable just seems to be the go-to PvP talent. Whenever I was 1v1ing anybody or 1v2ing or whatever situation I managed to get myself into, you always saw that armor bar just flick back because everyone is literally using Unbreakable. I really don't think there's anything else worth using on a chest unless you're going to go like all damage or anything like that, you know, then all right, yeah, fair enough. But Unbreakable definitely does, it's an extra life. It's, you know, 95%. 95% of 1.9 million armor plus all the regen is a lot. So if I press Z, you'll see this, you know, in PvP style. Nothing really changes at this point apart from maybe the the damage values on the guns. But if we go into the stats, and we'll keep everything in PvP now because we might as well, you can see we've got 59% crit chance and 127% critical hit damage, 70% headshot damage. If I scroll down to the survivability, we've got 1.9 million armor, as we talked about before, but we're regenerating over 116k, every second, and that's crazy. That is a lot of regen to be going on while you're mid fight as well. We've got 561k health at the same time, which is great. We've got some pulse resistance built in from the specialization, but it doesn't, we seem to be doing fine. And like I said, all these Hasbro things here, we didn't really have too much issue with skills. If you just kind of blasted through them, everything was kind of fine and it worked out okay. But I think, props to the Division Addiction channel. This is a banger of a build for somebody that is a PvE player. There's so much survivability in it, and this is probably a good one to, well, I feel like for me, to find my feet, because Conflict is a beast of its own. The Dark Zone is a beast of its own. You could run around the DZ in this doing exotic component runs and things like that, and still be able to put up some damage and maybe even take on a rogue or two. But this is definitely a good find your feet build. I had a really good time with it. I didn't come out of Conflict frustrated, feeling like, I'd have my pants pulled down. Definitely a good one to go with, and that's going to be it for the video. I'm going to splice some clips in of me getting some kills. Obviously I died when making these clips. This is not a one-man army never die build. That does not exist in PvP. There is no one-man army PvP build. The only people that don't die are people that squad up in teams of 4 and have got their strats down and got the the heals going on. They've got the CC going on. They've got the DPS going on. So don't expect that you're never going to die. You certainly are. I'm not going to lie to you, but this gives you a good fighting chance. And like I said, it was thoroughly enjoyable. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and maybe join. And I'll see you in the next maybe PvE, PvP video. Goodbye, agents.